Good morning. It's Friday, March 12th. I'm Jason Stanton. I serve as senior pastor at First Lutheran in Onalaska, Wisconsin, and this is my morning musing for today. I was thinking about there's different forms that I've had to fill out in my life that require you to say what your vocation is or what you do for work. And believe it or not, clergy is not always on the list. And so, maybe there's 5 or 10 categories. And so I had a mentor of mine tell me that how he usually fills those out is he'll end up saying that he's in sales. And I thought, there's obviously something to that, right? So I have followed that practice when necessary. And I kind of know how sales go at this point. I've got a real estate agent for a wife too, so I hear how she sometimes has to compete against other people who are in sales. And I've been on the end of trying to kind of interview who am I going to use to be my salesperson, or as I'm buying a car, that kind of thing. And in my imagination, a lot of times when people are trying to get the account, you kind of know you're going into a room, and right after you, somebody else is going to be coming into the room. It's kind of like an interview. You're trying to sell yourself, trying to get a job. What connects with people in that interview? When you're trying to make a sale of yourself or some product that you're trying to sell, how do you complete the deal? Well, one of the things you do is you try to offer the best price, or talk about how you have the best service, or the highest quality product, or that this product will bring you the most status. If you were admitting that I am somewhat in the world of sales as a clergy person, with a story that I would suggest is truth and life-changing, how would I sell Christianity well? And that's been a question, since Jesus. How do you talk about, how do you share this story in a way that not only people will hear and come to believe, but that they'll become passionate about and make the core of their life? Early on, the image that was used to really stir up people's passion and feeling and head, heart, and soul was to lift up the cross. The cross was the image that conveyed the truth and love and mercy of God. But the cross, it's a pretty harsh and in-your-face symbol. That's what the devotion for today, from Again and Again, the devotion says. I'm just going to read these paragraphs. Confession. This is Reverend Lauren Wright Pittman. I have a problem with the image of the cross. Early Christians expressed their identity subversely with a fish or an anchor, but once Christianity became the official religion of the Roman Empire, the cross emerged as the predominant Christian symbol. My struggle with the cross is connected to my rejection of state-sanctioned violence. It is, after all, an empirical torture device. In my desire to reject the empire's visual identification of the movement of Jesus, a symbol that's also been co-opted for questionable purposes in American culture, i.e. burning crosses in somebody's yard, I have denied the cross as a marker of my identity with Christ. As I've spent more time in reflection, however, I think this rejection might be an indication of my privilege. It is convenient for me to identify with more comfortable, rosy images of Christianity while turning away from the anguish Christ suffered at the hands of earthly power. It's easier for me to protest the cross than it is to try and more fully understand the ugliness of the oppression he endured. For those who know injustice intimately, the cross can be an image of profound identification with Jesus, the one who endured unspeakable agony and rose again. What an interesting self-reflection. The cross is inherently a kind of negative, in-your-face, harsh symbol? Wouldn't we all rather wear a teddy bear, an image of a teddy bear around our neck, or have earrings with flowers, or something easy to sell? Wouldn't it be easier for me to lift high the cash, as though like the prosperity gospel? There are many Christian salesmen and saleswomen who sell the prosperity gospel. If you follow God correctly, then you will have the cash, you'll have the stuff, you'll have the status, you will become the you've always wanted to be, rather than saying you'll become the you God wants you to be. That prosperity gospel is what's become very popular among the privileged in our nation. And so that's probably the most obvious version of an easy sell for Christianity. But to those who suffer, seeing that God is willing to suffer, that image of the cross then becomes everything. It shows that God is willing to be in all of it, not just the easy, pretty, wealthy stuff, but that God is in the pandemic and in your grief and illness and the worst of all things, whatever the worst is for you. And so we have the cross to lift up, to lift high. We have the cross on our jewelry and on our walls and lots of other places, and it's always meant to remind us who God is. Not who we are, but who God is. One willing to get in it, in the worst parts of things, even willing to die for us. Keep faith alive.